Step aside, Han Solo. There's a new person to use in the Chex Mix teams.
Puta solo.
And now we're calling it the Flaming Hot Greedo Mix. So if you aren't aware of what's going on with Greedo, recently they changed his unique. Before, whenever he scored a critical hit, he had a 50% chance to attack again. However, this was capped at one single bonus attack, so he could only attack twice, but they have recently removed the limit on his number of attacks, so he can attack multiple times. Every time he scores a critical hit, he can attack again, and it's just this endless chain. And this has caused some great boost to him, especially once you get his payout, where he gets that counter chance, where he has a 75% counter chance until the end of battle, and this basically makes him a second Han Solo for the standalone teams. However, I took this idea to Skelturix, who ran it on his test account, and the first time he ran this team through, he did over 5 million damage with that Greedo standalone. Now granted, that's on the test account, that's got super tier god mods that have offense numbers that we could pretty much never hope to accept or achieve unless we're Krakens in the game. So I had to take this through for myself to see what we can do with Greedo and our own standalone teams for Flaming Hot Greedo Mix in Phase 3. So before we get into the team and how things work there, let's discuss how you need to mod Greedo for this fight. When it comes to modding Greedo, your number one priority absolutely needs to be boosting his crit chance. As it stands right now, his base crit chance is about the 35 to 40% range. Based on your gear, at least gear 11, he has 35%. You could reach upwards of 40 if you have all the gear 12 pieces on him, but you need to get at least 65%. You get 10% from the Boba Fett leadership with the Omega on that ability, and you get another 15% from Greedo's unique ability, so you're going to get another 25% through bonuses. So with that 65% and the bonuses, he has at least a 90% chance to crit. That is going to be just fine for this run. I did just fine with 65%. You don't need to go to 75% for the guaranteed crits. It is helpful, but at that point you really start to sacrifice a lot of stats with your crit damage, your bonus offense, anything like that. And speaking of offense, get that on the cross and the arrow mods. You don't need him to go fast. In fact, the faster Greedo goes in this fight, that means the shorter your standalone phases can be, which means that your damage ability is not going to be as high. So you kind of sacrifice that speed, get him to about 140 speed, that's all you need. So stack up that offense, and then if you have room for some mod sets after you get that crit chance up to 65%, go ahead and throw a crit damage mod set on him, at least get a little bit of critical damage on him. You're not going to do as much damage if you had the full crit damage set on him, but you need to make sure you guarantee those critical hits, otherwise you're not going to be able to do the bonus attacks, which then means that you're not able to continue the long chain of attacks, and that is going to hurt your overall damage for this phase. So you need to make sure that you mod him up to that 65% crit chance, and then you can start working on your stats with boosting his offense and his overall crit damage. When it comes to your optimal team lineup for this fight, you do want to use the Boba Fett lead, and this is because of his leadership ability, which you will want the Omega on because it gives that bonus 10% crit chance, and this means that Greedo is going to be able to get that bonus from Boba Fett lead, so you don't have to gear up your crit chance as much, but of course it also gives that 50% crit damage bonus, so it's going to help make up for the loss in the crit damage mod set. And you're going to notice that I do not have Chirrut here on this team. I'm going to go into more detail about that with a little bit of how I made this team work. There was some things that Skelturix tried. I tried something a little bit different, and I actually did not use the tenacity up from Chirrut, so that allows me to sacrifice that tenacity up for certain reasons. So you can replace Chirrut with someone like Han Solo. You're going to need that damage dealer to help whittle down the sabers before Boba Fett moves, because Boba Fett's going to take care of the turret or the saber to get that death mark ability for Death Trooper. So everyone here is pretty much required except for Han Solo and Pow. You can replace Pow with Anakin if you want to, but you have to use one of those two to really max out your damage. And Han Solo, you don't have to use Han Solo, you could also use Commander Luke Skywalker. Someone can do a really big hit to a saber to knock it out and help Boba Fett clear that saber so you can get the death mark with Death Trooper. And of course, when it comes to mods, you basically just stack up offense. You can see here, I'm running a lot of bonus physical damage on Boba Fett. It's going to be the same thing with your other characters. You just really want to stack up that bonus offense. Same with Pow. Death Trooper as well. You can see here, I don't have mods on Pow at the moment. Kind of moving mods around for a little bit, trying to get some things optimized. But same thing with Death Trooper. power, you want to stack up that physical offense with him with the offense mod sets. So that's how you want to move things around, and that's how you want to help boost your team. So let's go ahead and get into this fight, and let's just go over the overall strategy and talk about how well this team works. When Skelturix originally tested this out, he found that using your optimal lineup of Chirrut, Death Trooper, Boba Fett, Pow, and Greedo, since he wanted to get the tenacity up, he had to whittle down the sabers with the previous team before using this team in there. However, I have changed things, and what I'm doing here, the main difference, is I am no longer using the tenacity up from Chirrut here to help resist effects from those sabers. It adds a little bit more RNG and retreating to my team. However, it means I don't have to send in a team first to whittle down the sabers, because you just don't have enough damage otherwise to use this team correctly. I also used Anakin for the original testing instead of Pow. However, once I finished my testing last night and the phase was over, I realized I could have actually switched out someone in place of Chirrut to give more damage boost, like I said earlier, with Raid Han or Commander Luke Skywalker to help give up that damage boost. So I could have switched in someone there in place of Chirrut, and it would have actually done better overall. So the opening strategy here is you need to get rid of the saber that moves first. However, you have to kill this with Boba Fett, otherwise Greedo does not get his payout from the contract, and that means that Greedo does not get the 75% counter chance. So you have to whittle down that saber that moves first, and then use the double tap or the execute from Boba Fett, knock out that saber, it gets the payout to both him and to Greedo, and everything is going to work just great for your standalone. So get that saber killed before Traya moves. Then Traya moves, she hopefully doesn't isolate Greedo at this point, and then you can go ahead and apply Death Mark from Death Trooper, and then stand alone with Greedo, and at that point, it just comes down to RNG of hopefully he resists a dazed effect from a saber with Retribution, and he can just continue to counterattack against Traya and do a lot of damage. Now, inevitably, we're going to get comparisons of the original Chex Mix team versus this Flaming Hot Greedo Mix team, and there are some decent comparisons to be had between them. There are criticisms for both teams, especially with the Greedo one, and the big thing for Greedo that he has over the original Chex Mix team is that there's a much higher damage ceiling here. Like I said, Skelturix did the 5 million, we've had other people do 4 million, so it's definitely going to get a lot more damage out of this team than you will get with Han in the same situation. However, there is going to be serious issues with RNG. It's a bit more of a complex setup. You need to get that offense up. You have to worry about the tenacity up not being applied, which means days can get applied to Greedo, which can ruin your run. So there are issues to be had with this. However, the damage ceiling really helps to make up for that. So you're going to have that over the Han one, and actually the Greedo Mix team is going to be better overall for your progressing guilds because of the higher damage ceiling. It means you're going to need fewer of these teams to clear phase 3, which means you don't have to have as many people investing in those Chex Mix teams. You're going to be able to clear them with your teams, so those progressing guilds, it's going to be a little easier for them now to clear phase 3. So that is the huge benefit of the Greedo team versus your original Chex Mix team. So keep that all in mind when comparing the two teams, is that based on where your guild is currently in the Sith raid, if you guys are already clearing phase 3 really easily, it's not exactly ideal for you to start investing in the Greedo team unless you want to try to maximize your score. It's going to be just fine for you to use Chex Mix, but if you are trying to help push your guild to clear heroic, you will want to start investing in the Greedo Mix team for phase 3. Now, one last thing before we get out of here, I'm just showing you an optimal standalone phase. You can see Greedo stands alone, and he continually does counterattacks against Traya. However, there is a mix of bad RNG in here, because you'll notice there are times where he just does not counter at all, or he counters, does one critical attack, and then follows up with no chain bonus attacks. So this run I did 2.5 million. I could have easily done 3 to 3.5 if RNG had been on my side. So there is hope. You guys can see this full run on your own, and you can see what bad RNG looks like. So you guys can see that even with bad RNG, I still do 2.5 million damage here on this run. That's still a very respectable amount with this team with bad RNG. So I just want to give you guys a quick show of a standalone phase with the bad RNG and still some really decent damage in the process. So that is it for this video, guys. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask down below. You can come on to my Discord server, ask me questions there. There's several Discord chat servers where we talk about the Sith raid. Find them. There's a lot of great communities out there that help really talk about the Sith raid. But thanks again for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to all of my patrons for their donations, and to all of my McMinions out there. I will talk to you guys later.